They come from the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia, fleeing war, terrorism, and poverty. 1 million people are seeking refuge on European shores.
And this is their question here, that what is our destiny is Europe. Do they accept us or no?
This great migration challenges the European ideal of open borders. And in the aftermath of the Paris massacre and violence in the German city of Cologne, bitter arguments have exploded.
We have too many Muslims here in Germany, and we don't want it.
This is Europe's biggest wave of migration since the Second World War, and at this forgotten front line, borders are shutting down, new fences are coming up, and thousands remain stranded.
Join me, Prerna Suri, at ground zero of a humanitarian crisis that is dividing Europe and the rest of the world. Civil war, terrorism, and the rise of the merciless Islamic State movement compelled millions to abandon their homes in the Middle East and Africa and seek refuge in Europe. They are drawn by the lure of Europe's open borders, and especially to Germany, where Chancellor Angela Merkel appeared to offer sanctuary in a series of dramatic speeches.
Umgehen. Da kann ich nicht eine Höchstgrenze sagen und darüber hinaus kümmere ich mich nicht. Das ist dann die Sache von 2 oder 3 Ländern oder 4.
But for many migrants and refugees, the point of arrival is not Germany, but the poorest and most crisis-ridden nation in the European Union, Greece. From the Turkish coast, they cross the Aegean Sea to Greek islands just a few kilometers away. The islands are their first point of entry into Europe. There they must wait 3 to 6 months to be registered before they're sent on to Athens.
Over 300 kilometers from Athens are the closest Greek islands to Turkey. Usually they're reserved for tourists, but now they're overwhelmed with thousands and thousands of refugees and migrants who make dangerous crossings through treacherous waters.
After months of processing,
they then come here at the port of Athens with nothing but a bag on their backs and dreams of peace and prosperity.
There's a ferry arriving soon. It's crammed with 1,800 people.
Where do you want to go now?
Deutschland, Sweden.
Why did you leave Sinjar? Why did you leave Mosul? Why are you escaping from the war?
People, children left home, buildings fall down, everything you can't imagine.
Relieved and happy to take their first steps on continental Europe, these people begin yet another journey across the Balkans. Starting from Greece, they will pass Macedonia, Serbia, Hungary and Austria. Many hope to reach Germany or Sweden, the nations that have until now accepted the most refugees. But not everyone is moving on. Thousands of travelers are forced to remain right here in Athens when the money they need to move on runs out. About 100 of them are camped out in Victoria Square.
How long do you want to be in Greece?
About 2 weeks. About 2 weeks I'm waiting here for money.
Can you go back to Afghanistan?
No, never forever.
Many of the people stranded here in the cold have come all the way from Afghanistan. In one corner of the square, I find Marty, who says he's an Afghan university student and with him is his family of 8. They arrived in Athens just 2 days ago. Mahdi's family is waiting for cash that will allow them to move on. Their entry papers permit them to stay a maximum of 40 days in Greece.
What?
How did you come here? Did you have to pay somebody?
Yes, we had to pay to smugglers money and came here. One of them was from Afghanistan to Iran. It was the most dangerous. And after that, Iran.
I can see that you've just got 1 or 2 jackets.
I have threw them into the river.
You threw your clothes in the river.
Yes, because our boat was about to go under the water. When I came from Turkey to the Greece by the river, our boat was full of water, and we had to throw all our bags, all our clothes.
So how are you keeping yourself warm, you, your wife?
This, and I have just one blanket.
1 blanket for the 2 of you?
Yes.
And where do you sleep? Over there.
Everyone here has a story to tell. This man fled after the Islamic State launched a concerted campaign against his community. He was injured as he fled. Homeless, broke, and fearful, one question now weighs on the minds of these people.
In the way they have such a problem, they have come illegally, and this is their question here: that what is our destiny is Europe? Do they accept us or no?
There's a lot of camaraderie on this square, and one thing that the camera can't really capture is how cold it really is. It's about 15 degrees, and even with the warm jacket that I've got on, I'm feeling cold. So when I see the men, women, and children who just have a shirt on their back and a thin blanket to pass the night with, it's incredible to think the kind of horrors they would have left behind to call this place their home.
The following day, I discovered that Mahdi had moved on with his family from Victoria Square to Elionas, the only refugee camp in Athens. It's a welcome change from the rigors of the open air.
Salam alaikum. How are you?
And you see that these are the tents, and these are the responsible here very kindly. They behave us very kindly. And this is the place that we give food, tea, in a certain time.
Do you mind if we just go inside one of them and see how it looks like?
And you see that this is the house or the unit that we are living here. This is our bathroom, and that is toilet.
It seems quite nice actually.
Yes.
Got running water.
But Mahdi and his family are not planning to stay for long.
I have to live here as soon as possible. And as I hear that the borders are closing day by day, for this reason I have to leave as soon as possible.
Mahdi has reason to be anxious. In the summer of 2015, there was a dramatic surge in the number of migrants moving through the Balkan corridor. The different Balkan nations take different positions on how many migrants they will accept, and some, like Hungary, began to unilaterally close their borders. In the aftermath of the Paris massacre of 13 November 2015 and fears that terrorists might take advantage of the flow of refugees, more countries have tightened security and installed temporary controls. Inside Greece, the arrival of tens of thousands of refugees is straining a nation already in crisis. After 2 bailouts, bitter negotiations in Brussels, and threats of leaving the Eurozone, the Greek government insists it has little to offer the human tide that has washed up on its shores. Its citizens feel bitter that Greece is being asked to shoulder such a heavy burden.
The refugees are troubled people from the world. These people should be given papers to travel freely in the European Union.
No one wants to stay in Greece because they know the situation in Greece. Why not? And why not? Because they cannot be fed here. They cannot live here. It's not that we do not want them. We want them to do what they have to do. They need to go to Germany, and everybody should open their borders to go there.
On the front line in Athens is this free clinic run by Doctors of the World. The refugee crisis has put the clinic under intense pressure.
We used to see immigrants. Greece has always been a transit point. And lately, new people from other countries, from Iraq, from Syria, of course, 90% are from Syria. So again, it changed. And who knows how it's going to be next year. What we see, it's a very severe humanitarian crisis. But they are really exhausted. And they are not only the body, but the soul, the psyche. They are mentally and psychiatric, very desperate.
Any kind of support that you've received from the European Union, from the government?
They try. Okay, they try to help us, but it's not enough. What we have to mention here is the Greece. The Greek people, although they are really poor, their salary and the pensions is almost half. These Greek people, they bring things. At the moment, we don't have the boxes. Every day, they bring so many things. The medication they share, the food they share. It's really very emotional.
As Greece reels under the impact of the crisis, other European nations have launched a barrage of criticism at the Greek government for failing to control the flow of refugees into Europe. I meet human rights advocate Dr. Dimitris Christopoulos, who believes that instead of turning refugees and migrants away, all nations must share joint responsibility.
When you have a refugee, when you have someone who seeks asylum, you have the moral and you have the legal obligation at least to examine his request. Europe, over the last years, due to the intensity of refugee flows, has weakened its obligations vis-à-vis refugees. One after the other, the European states decide to build fences, which apparently is the model applied by Poland, by Hungary, by Macedonia, and so on. That means that we're in deep trouble. Whenever there have been fences built in Europe, that was the peak of division.
The people paying the highest price for Europe's confused and conflicted response are migrants and refugees like Mardi. His family is at the mercy of closing borders, and they want to travel on from Athens as soon as possible. Mardi and his brother-in-law are checking for bus tickets to go to Idomeni, a key crossing point on the Greek-Macedonian border.
How many times do the buses go in a day? Only once in a day?
There's a bus leaving at 8:30 tonight. All Mardi needs to do now is come up with the money for the tickets, and that's the problem.
He's calling to Iran and his relatives to send him money. He's waiting for money to get tickets, to receive money. He's waiting, nobody answers. His families don't answer right now.
Why do you have to keep calling your family?
If he doesn't answer, I will call. He wanna go call his family. And if he doesn't answer, I have to sell my goals, my wife's goals. And I have given them to my brother. He will sell me and then send me money.
By 7 p.m., Mardi has asked his relatives to sell his wife's jewelry and send him the proceeds via a local network in Greece. But with just hours before the bus leaves, there's still no sign of their emergency cash.
I'm angry, stressed, furious.
I met Mardi and his family 2 days ago in Athens. He says he's a refugee from Afghanistan. They're trying to catch the only bus that goes to the Greek-Macedonia border today. But without the money promised to him from back home, the family can't leave. Minutes before the bus is scheduled to leave, a car shows up. It looks as if the money has arrived at last. The runners don't want our cameras around, so Mardi leads them alone. Finally, at 8:30 p.m., he and his family are on their way. I speed ahead of the bus to Marty's destination, Idomeni, the Greek town at the border with Macedonia. For weeks, tensions have been rising on this border. The Macedonia government now restricts the kinds of migrants allowed to enter, leaving thousands stranded behind a line of riot police. They responded by going on a hunger strike and sewing their lips together. The day before I arrived, a protest turned violent and one Moroccan man lost his life. The border has since been closed to all.
It's 5 in the morning right now, and I'm just approaching the border. We've heard that the situation here is quite tense. We're also seeing quite a bit of riot police over here. So let's just stop here and find out what's going on.
I'm distressed by what I see.
As you can see here, the railway tracks has become home to thousands and thousands of refugees camping out. We see in front of us families whose main priority is just to keep warm. You can see men, women, children who've already made very long journeys to get to where they have come here, only to be told that they can't move ahead. And they know for a fact that they can't go back to where they came from as well.
Suddenly, a rumor spreads that the border is being opened. People begin to move.
This is incredible. This is something that I've never seen in all the stories that I've done. The stench is so overpowering from all the fires that people have formed here. We're right in the middle of the crowds. They might try and enter the border. Riot police are right here.
The scale of this crowd soon becomes apparent. There are thousands, all moving towards the fence along the border.
Up until a few weeks ago, this used to be a border-free trail. But right after the Paris terror attacks and allegations that one of the attackers used the very same route to enter Europe, you can see the security that has been put in place since then.
More police are brought in as the border opens. It's a mad rush for this one single gate. There are many nationalities at the border, but only Syrians, Afghans, and Iraqis are allowed through.
What did Samir see in Syria?
طاغية بالشارع يعني ما خلانا مجال انه نبقى بسوريا يعني بيوتنا تدمرت وراح لنا كل شيء يعني ما ضل شيء.
اجينا للجاد يعني هلا كل هالمناظر وسقوط هالبراميل اللي فوق دمشق واللي فوق ديريا امبارح واول امبارح ولا اشهر فوق الزبداني مخيم اليرموك فوق رؤوس الفلسطينيين بشكل كامل. هذا لا يكفي انه الانسان يهرب.
As these privileged nationalities cross the border into Macedonia, many thousands from other regions are left behind. In response to the massive influx of migrants and refugees, the European Union has introduced a new policy to turn away those who are deemed to come from the so-called safe countries.
That there's a list of secure countries of origin, and if you come from one of these countries of origin, you're immediately rejected at the border. So they won't admit you to the country to check your files, but they will say, no, in your country everything is fine, just go back where you've come from.
The segregation by country of origin is causing tensions to rise, and some migrants protest bitterly.
सानू पुलिस वाले ही कह रहे हैं कि उसे वापस चले जाओ, ऐसे कोई चांस नहीं है कि जाने देंगे, उसे वापस चले जाओ। तो लेकिन ऐसे जी बैठे हैं वापस कितने जाइए, साढ़े को इतने पैसे ही नहीं है कि वापस जाओ वास्ते।
ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਿੱਛੂ ਕਰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜ਼ਲੀਲ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਾਨ ਨਾਲ ਖੇਡ ਕੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਤੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਈਏ
The new restrictions on who can cross the Macedonian border have had disturbing consequences. Some 3,000 people have been stranded on the Greek side for weeks.
How many portions of food are you giving out every day?
Every day, maybe more than 2,000 meals.
Are you getting help from any European government at all?
No, I don't think so. There is a sponsor for Germany who give us the money to buy food, and we cook and give the people.
There is no government aid provided to the camps, so it's up to NGOs and local residents to supply food, medical aid and emotional support to the thousands of cold and hungry people.
If someone wants to go back, in 20 minutes they will bring some buses and he can go back with no money, okay?
They ask me if they are going to open the borders. And always every day someone tell them the borders will be open. Someone is using lies and make these miserable souls to live under of this sufferty in the middle of winter, without heating, even without shoes, without money, without prosperity, without dignity. So, honey, it means...
How long will you keep doing what you're doing? You look exhausted.
Until I will see Europe or the Greek state to take here the coordination. I need desperate to see the reaction of Europe and the Greek state, because we have here humans.
In this crowd, I find Mohammed Kamal, a Bangladeshi migrant.
बीस दिन पहले आया उधर कैंप में मुझे देख रहा हूँ खाना नहीं मिल रहा है पैसा मेरे को पैसा नहीं है इधर थका बहुत मुश्किल है सब कुछ मुश्किल है इधर मुश्किल ज़्यादा मुश्किल है खाना नहीं है खाना नहीं है तो पानी नहीं
नाश्ता में कुछ मिलता है
नहीं बस दिन पे एक रोटी मिल रहा है
तो यहाँ पे ये तो पूरा खुला हुआ है
हाँ खुला है क्या करेगा कुछ नहीं है ना आदमी इधर रहता हूँ हवा आती है बहुत मुश्किल है इसलिए क्या करेगा अभी इधर रहता हूँ
इधर तो कोई भी अंदर भी आ सकता है आपके
अंदर भी आता है कुछ लोग आते हैं लहंगा शू निकलती है बैग निकलती है पैसा निकलती है रात में नहीं सोता हूँ
So why is Kamal prepared to stick it out under these miserable conditions?
पे आपको बोल रहे हैं कि आप वापस जाओ तो
हाँ वापस जाएगा वापस नहीं जा रहा वापस जाना से मर जाएगा बहुत अच्छा है क्योंकि $7,000 लग गया बांग्लादेश में बैंक पे लोन लिया ना कि बांग्लादेश जाएगा तो कैसे देगा ये पैसा नहीं देगा तो बहुत मुश्किल है पुलिस वाला मुश्किल करता है अगर बैठता हूँ ना मैं देखता हूँ सूर्यान अफगानिस्तान जाता है यूरोप में पाकिस्तानी या बंगाली नहीं दे रहा है क्योंकि क्या करेगा इधर बांग्लादेश जाएगा तो $7,000 लग गया क्या करेगा उधर बहुत मुश्किल है
2 men have already committed suicide. Kamal's future remains unclear.
Back.
I'm at the Greek border town of Idomeni. After the Paris terror attacks in November 2015, Macedonia installed a 4-kilometer fence along its border with Greece, and only refugees from war-torn nations are allowed entry. A few days earlier, I met Afghan migrant Mahdi and his family in Athens. They boarded a bus the night before bound for the Macedonian border and were expected to arrive hours ago. A big, restless crowd has been waiting to cross since the morning, but by late afternoon, the queue is more orderly. And the migrants have started to organize themselves for the long wait. But there's still no sign of Mahdi. Then, I saw a familiar face in the crowd.
Oh my goodness. We were waiting for you. What happened?
When we came by bus, the bus stopped in the middle of the day. Our bus stopped for about 7 hours, 7 to 8 hours. They stopped there and they told us that we cannot go ahead more.
The delay was caused by a police roadblock set up to reduce the flow of people to the border.
Now you're finally here. How do you feel?
I don't know what to say. It's really busy. I don't know. Can I pass this way or not?
Mahdi and his family join the other Afghans in the queue. Just as the line starts to move a lot quicker. Before nightfall, they are meters away from the gate.
So Mahdi, after a very long journey, you're finally entering the border. How do you feel?
I'm feeling happy. But now I'm not feeling happy. When I get to the Croatia, I will feel happy.
That was quick, Mahdi. We didn't think that it would be this quick.
God helps us. Only God helps us. We can just trust in God, nothing else, and nobody else.
After weeks on the road, Mahdi and his family are finally taking their first steps towards freedom.
So, salam, Taira. It was lovely seeing you, yeah? Good luck. Good luck, Mahdi. See you.
Also, they all fervently hope. The next day, I too crossed the border from Greece into Macedonia. Once here, it's a 600-meter walk to the Givkilia transit camp. Zoran Lazarovsky is the crisis manager at the camp. His job is to make sure refugees move through Macedonia as fast as possible. His country is not a member of the European Union, and so few migrants have any interest in staying.
Документот кој што се издава од страна на македонската полиција важи 72 часа престој во нашата држава или изразување намера за поднесување на азил од нашата држава. Меѓутоа, засега такви луѓе кои што бараат азил ги нема многу, тие се со многу мал број. Сите сакаат да заминат на другата дестинација.
There's an atmosphere of brisk efficiency in the camp. Macedonia is a small nation with a population of under 2 million people and wants to avoid huge numbers of migrants stranded here over winter.
На Европската заедница за справување со мигрантската криза. За жал, Република Македонија сама се справува со овој проблем. Морам да кажем наметнат. И исто така можам да кажем дека, слушајќи ги информации од страна на владата на Република Македонија, дека се соочуваме веќе со големи потешкоти околу набавката на средства за одржување на оваа мигрантска криза.
In a children's tent, I meet a young, middle-class Iraqi couple from Mosul. Khaldoon was an engineer. He met his wife in university and they were married soon after. Their memories of Iraq are the stuff of nightmares.
Beside me, 2 meters, 3 meters, and the bomb.
Khaldoon and Hind lost their first child when she was attacked by a mob. She's making this hazardous journey while pregnant with a second.
فضربوها على بطنها مرتين فصار عندها نزيف فلما أخذناها للمستشفى المستشفى ما استقبلت أحد ولهذا اضطريت أطلع يعني من العراق إلى تركيا ومن تركيا إلى اليونان. من اليونان أخذنا سيارات وقفونا بأثينا ما قبلوا يطلعونا أخذونا بمكان تعبت مرت الأخ أخذتها للمستشفى دكتور شافها قال لازم تبقى ما قدرت أكمل.
Why can't you stay in Greece?
The doctor say we'll stay.
Okay.
But I can't because I won't continue the journey. المهم.
Why do you want to continue the journey?
يعني أريد حياة جديدة، أريد راحة، أريد وطن جديد، أريد أكمل. هي تريد تكمل، أريد ابني يعيش مو مثل الطفل اللي قبله مات.
Thousands like Khaldoon and Hind have left everything behind and headed towards the promise of asylum. For many, one European nation above all seems to offer hopes of a secure future.
Where do you want to go?
Germany.
Germany as well.
Germany.
Germany. Everyone wants to go to Germany.
She say my children's all in the German, and I will go to the German for my children.
Almine, Mama, happy? Good. See you. Goodbye. Good luck.
To reach Germany, these refugees will continue north, one border check at a time, through Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, and Austria. But in Germany, since Chancellor Merkel's first speeches are welcome, the atmosphere has become a lot chillier.
There's uncontrolled mass migration or mass migration of people that we don't need, and with Muslims, it's twice as bad.
I'm in Passau, Germany, on the border with Austria. This is the last stop on my journey along the migrant trail. New arrivals are processed in police stations like this one. A system has been set up to identify each person before they're dispatched to refugee centers all over Germany.
Now that you're here in Germany, do you think life will be easier for you?
Yes. It's a beautiful city, beautiful country, beautiful people, and maybe help us. Yes. God bless Germany.
Refugees regard Germany as one of the most welcoming countries in the European Union.
I know also,
In September, Chancellor Angela Merkel announced that the German government would not place limits on the number of asylum seekers it accepts. And at Munich station and elsewhere, many Germans welcomed new arrivals. But since those heady days, generosity has been replaced by fear and hostility. In Germany, the mood in the country began to change. On the political front, Merkel's open-door policy soon came under pressure, even from her own party allies. Then, in November, terrorists launched a series of attacks in the streets of Paris, raising concerns that extremists could enter Europe along the refugee route. But it was events in Cologne that provoked the biggest shift in German public opinion. On New Year's Eve, as crowds celebrated outside the main station, men believed to be of Arab or North African origin robbed, threatened, and sexually assaulted women. Similar attacks were reported in Hamburg and Stuttgart. In the media furor that followed, Merkel was forced to respond by promising to restrict immigration.
Mir ist sehr wichtig, dass wir sowohl eine spürbare Reduzierung der Flüchtlinge bekommen, indem wir eben bei den Fluchtursachen ansetzen, indem wir aber auch bei nationalen Maßnahmen ansetzen, wie bei besseren Rückführungen für abgelehnte Asylbewerber.
These events have given fresh impetus to the German mass movement Pegida, meaning patriotic Europeans against the Islamization of the Occident, which organizes protests against the influence of Islam.
Mal sehen, was rauskommt. Applaus für Stefan.
Maria, tell me, why are you here?
I am here to protest. We are too many Muslims here in Germany, and we don't want it.
Why are Muslims such a problem for Germany?
They are too intolerant. They suppressed women.
Muslim populations tend to be unable to coexist with other populations. You know that from all of Southeast Asia, from Thailand or from Burma these days. It's very difficult to integrate populations that will tend to think that they are a kind of chosen people.
Are you afraid after Paris that something like that would happen in Germany? The refugees that are coming in?
Yeah, it's very possible. I think that in the refugees, it's not all poor people from Syria. I think there are a lot of people that need help, but there are also people that could be terrorists and we don't know.
The refugee dilemma is bitterly dividing Germany. As Pegida marched towards the centre of Munich, an even bigger crowd of anti-Nazis staged their own protest.
We are here because we don't want Nazis in German streets. We don't want Nazis to reach this place, which is for victims of the Holocaust. There are lots of refugees coming to Europe, to Germany, and we want to show people that they are welcome here, that we want to help them escape from hunger, from war.
I would say stop the beginning. Stop the beginning of racism, of fascism. We have the past, the German past, and they should remember about that.
To understand why this crisis has divided German society, I visit Professor Werner Weidenfeld, a political scientist and former government advisor. What makes the German situation so contentious is the nation's bitter history, which saw many German Jews flee from the Nazi state as refugees.
Why is Germany one of the few countries in the European Union that is leading and stepping up efforts on the refugee and the migrant crisis?
Let me say this deep historical imprint, Second World War, many Germans had to leave the country and they were accepted in other countries. In the United States as well as in Turkey and many other countries. And so this is a deep imprint in the commemoration of the Germans. And now it's the other way around. People who want to survive need us, so you will not have immediately the reaction, no, nothing with us here.
Can Germany continue to let so many people in as it is doing right now?
No, until now, I would say yes, but not for many years. If you have not only this year 1 million, if you have next year 1 or 2 millions, the year after that, then you will have a real serious problem. That's clear. This is the real issue.
In 2015, Germany registered its 1 millionth refugee, causing a backlog of asylum applications in cities across all the federal states. In Berlin, hopeful migrants queue outside the Health and Social Services office. The wait just to be registered for an asylum application is now as long as a year.
يا بيأجلونا شي بيطلعونا بعد النوم. شو صلنا من الساعة 3:30 الصبح هون.
أوراقي أنا روحوا لي إياها جوا.
ضايع أوراق.
ما بلاقي أوراق غيرها. الآن فيهم يعني. ما عم يقولوا لي يطلعوا لي أوراق غير اللي ضاعت ولا عم يقولوا لي يفوتوني.
يعني بس أنتم كبركم بألمانيا.
لا.
Another desperate refugee waiting for his asylum application process to begin is one of the most iconic figures of the refugee crisis. His name is Ayam Ahmed, but he's better known as the Syrian pianist. A year ago, thousands of people around the world watched an online video of Ayam playing his piano in the rubble of war-stricken Yarmouk, Syria. His songs became a single point of hope and resistance in the civil war, telling those who fled to return home. But in April 2015, the piano man himself fled Syria. He finally reached Germany in September. This video shows him playing at a charity concert in Munich, organized to thank volunteers of the refugee efforts. After several days of searching, I managed to track down Ayam. He's staying with a local musician in Berlin and has agreed to meet me tomorrow.
Assalamu alaikum. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for seeing us. Can we come inside and maybe see where you live?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Right.
Thank you.
Have it like this tea or this tea or this tea.
Perfect. Anyone is fine. This is great. I love this tea. Yeah.
Ayam's family were Palestinian refugees who fled to Syria in 1948. He was born and raised in Yarmouk, a refugee camp outside Damascus.
تزوجت في عام 2010 وكان يعني الزواج رائع. زوجتي صديقتي يعني هي عندي طفلين أحمد وكنان.
Do you miss Yarmouk?
بتذكر كتير شغلات كتير كانت حلوة باليرموك قبل الحرب. بتذكر شارع لوبيا وشارع صفد، الجمعات والشباب أصدقائي اللي منهم اعتقلوا ومنهم ماتوا. بتذكر أخوي المعتقل اللي صار له 3 سنين مش موجود، مو مبين عنه شيء. بسوريا ما حدا بيعرف ليش العالم تعتقل أو تسجن أو تموت. خرج من البيت ما عاد شفناه.
In 2013, pro-government forces besieged Yarmouk. Its occupants were trapped without food, piped water, electricity, or medical aid. Many died, starved, or picked up weapons to fight in the civil war. But Ayam found solace in music.
نجمع الأعشاب من خارج، نأكل أوراق الشجر، نأكل القطط لحتى أضلني عايش. كنا نعمل حوالي 8 ساعات لجلب الحطب وجلب المياه من الأرض. كانت حياة جدا سيئة، بس كانت الموسيقى هي القالب الزجاجي أو القالب الرائع لكل اللي حدث. فأنا كل ما كنت أتعب كنت أطلع البيانو وأعزف بيانو بالشارع.
For years, Ayam bore the unbearable until finally it became too dangerous for him to remain in Yarmouk. But he was forced to leave his wife and children behind in Damascus to join the exodus to Europe. He hoped that they would be able to join him when he won asylum status in Germany. But today he's desperate as his wait stretches on.
نشكر الله ما في بلد عربي استقبل اللاجئين مثل ألمانيا. أصلاً ما في بلد بالعالم استقبل لاجئين يعني بهالكمية غير ألمانيا. بس بدك تنتظر رقمي باللجوء 81,220.
How are they surviving over there in Yarmouk when you speak to them?
بيحاول الواحد هيك يكون ما عم تزبط. والله العظيم لو انه بيعطوني جواز سفر هلا برجع. اذا بنجرح ابني جرح انا ما بعرف شو بسوي، بزت حالي على السياره بنتحر. شو بدي انتظر يعني؟ بيجي بيقولوا لك كذا وبيجي بيقولوا لك هون الاوراق والكذا يا اخي ما الشغله ما يعني. انا احترق ربي بالاعلام، ما عاد يمشي الحال انتظر، ما فيني انتظر. داعش عم بتلاحق الاولاد والنظام بيلاحق الاولاد والقذائف عم بتلاحق الاولاد. انتظر شو؟ لا راح اصلي اروح اموت معهم.
It was here in 1989 that Europe was symbolically united as millions celebrated and cheered the falling of the Berlin Wall. But decades later, the risk of new fences coming up is even greater as waves of desperate people escaping war and persecution continue to arrive at Europe's doorstep. There's no doubt that this crisis will define the decade we live in, and how this is managed will be Europe's and perhaps the world's biggest challenge.
على صوت الدمار ضاع الأمل ضاعت كل شيء ضاع على شرفة الحصار على صوت الدمار على